Welcome to the Elementary STEM Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Naomi Meredith, a former classroom teacher turned K-5 STEM teacher and coach. With over a decade of experience teaching and a master's degree in STEM leadership, I'm here to coach you throughout the year to help you gain back more time to create innovative experiences for your students. All right. Well, thank you, Bre, so much for being here today. I'm so excited to have you as a guest because we've connected in lots of different ways. And we met at a conference, I think, in Colorado at an ENCO in Breckenridge. And you were in one of my sessions. And then a few years later, I still currently teach right now a STEM club at your school. And I walked in your class a few weeks ago. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're teaching my whole STEM survival camp unit, and the kids are telling me about it, and you've had it decorated with a tent,
Yeah,
and you have the fire, and I had to tell kids in my club to get out of the tent, that's Miss Smith's tent, get out of there. So I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to hear how it goes in your class, because it's one of those things, and as you know, being a STEM teacher, you're the only one in your building teaching it, and so you don't
right.
always know how things are going or, what other people are doing, so I'm,
Mhm.
cannot wait to talk to you about this because I wanted to ask you more before we start recording. I'm like, no, we need to get this on audio. But
Yes.
before we do that,
Yeah.
if you wouldn't mind telling us more about you and what you teach, and also a little snapshot about your schedule,
Okay.
and how often you see kids.
All right. Well, my name is Bre Smith, and I teach kindergarten through fifth grade, and I teach STEAM. So we have the A for art at Redstone Elementary in Highlands Ranch, Colorado. This is my fourth year currently that we're in this role. Prior to that, I was an intermediate teacher, mostly in fifth grade. I did that for 6 years, and then I stayed home with my kids for 8 years. And so I came back to teaching right before COVID. It was the worst time to come back. So I was teaching part-time computer science, and the school shut down, and the kids were spending their entire day on the screens. And it didn't feel right with me to give them more digital assignments. And so I started giving them STEAM challenges at home with materials that they had around the house, and they loved it. And so that's kind of when it clicked for me how important those skills are, the creativity, the problem solving, the resilience. It was things that they were naturally using during those STEAM challenges. So after that crazy year, I set out to build a full STEAM program at my school. So I proposed the idea to my principal and vice principal, and they were so supportive and on board. So then I presented to staff and then PTO, and everyone was on board. And so I wrote a couple grants to get it funded. And now here we are. So it's grown into something so much bigger than I have ever imagined. And it's so fun to see how it's impacting the students. So I see kids on a weekly rotation every third week. So we have PE, music, and then STEAM. And then my classes are 45 minutes long, and I see 6 classes a day. So kindergarten through fifth each day. So that's kind of about me and my schedule.
Okay, I had no idea you kind of created your
Yeah,
position.
I
I
did.
had
Yeah.
no idea. That's a whole other podcast because that's a whole other thing. We could talk about that another
Yeah.
time because, that's pretty cool because you were already hired as computer science. That was your
hmm
title. And
Yeah.
then
Part
you're like,
time. Yeah.
let's switch it up.
Right, and the timing worked out well because our art teacher, who was the 3rd
Uh,
rotation, she was retiring, and
uh,
so that's when I saw you at an Edco, I had just gotten that position, I was, trying to get prepared for that 1st year, so yeah.
Yeah, and it's it's a lot. It's
It's a
like
lot.
I have a brand new position, you're creating this whole program,
Right,
and it's, all new to you because you have teaching experience, which is
right.
so helpful, but it is a whole other world in
Whole other world.
STEM, and
Yeah.
I don't remember what I presented about. I don't was it STEM survival camp?
No, it
Oh, it was
wasn't
something
that. I
else.
think it was just kind of like the logistics and
Okay.
stuff, which is so important. And like my favorite quote of yours is like how we're like the fun ant planning a birthday party 6 times a day. Cause that's literally how it feels like the energy
Mhm.
level is like you have to just be excited every class. But I will say, after my 2nd year teaching STEAM, I gave all my general classroom supplies away And I don't think I'm ever going back to the gen ed class. So that's
Yeah,
for
you're
sure.
committed. You are
I am committed.
committed. Yeah, and
Yeah,
her room is so cute. You're gonna have to send me some pictures. I
sure.
love it's just so warm and cozy, and, like, you could tell there's just
Oh,
so much
awesome.
creativity in there. It's so she has, like, this cute rainbow she painted on a pegboard, and then, like,
Mm,
all like, I really like you have, like, all the reusable blocks and stuff, but then you have them
mhm.
color coded for what types of
Yes.
projects they can be used for. Like, you have,
Yeah.
like, really cool things going on in your classroom, and,
Mhm.
you could tell, like, the kids love it in there and
Right, they
create and have
do.
such a fun time. So it's
Yeah.
so fun, like, going in there every week. I'm like, "Oh,"
Thank
I, like, walk
you.
around like, "Oh, look at all this fun stuff," but that's what I saw. I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it's STEM survival camp." So what made you decide, um, to do STEM survival camp? Because I did mine, like, the same time, like back to
Mhm.
schoolish time.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to teach it and when do you teach it? So like how do you
Yeah.
um set that up? Because you do see kids for the whole week,
Mhm.
the same kids every single day for a week, which I did
Right.
too.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, how did you decide to do that? And then like how did you set it up for your kids?
Okay. Well, I mean, we live in Colorado, so I feel like it's a natural fit.
Mhm.
But I love camping and like honestly, my favorite shows are Alone and Naked and Afraid and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
it just like totally fit my personality. And I've been teaching it every year since I started the program and I just love it. And so when I teach it, so I usually have the first round of kids. We go over the rules and expectations and the routines. But then after that, our first unit is survival STEAM. And I do it first through fifth grade.
Oh.
And I tried with kindergarten, but when it's so early in the year, I realized they're just learning how to be students. And I take the kids outside to collect materials and yeah, learn from experience.
Yeah.
So now I just do first through fifth grade. Um, and I chose to teach STEAM survival at that time for a couple of reasons. The first is they are so engaged. And so you mentioned I set up my classroom. So I have this big, like, I got off Amazon. It's this big, like, kind of fabric that has the mountains in the background. And then I have a clay collapsible tent. And then I have a little campfire that I illuminate with a flashlight. And I turn the lights off. And then I invite the kids in for their first day and they're like, "Oh, it's Team Survival!" So all the kids that have been here in the past get so excited, and all the new kids are like, "Wait, what? Why is there a campfire? Why is there a tent?" And the first graders, they get so excited because this is their first. They've heard about it, but this is their first round doing it. So for me, it's engagement from the beginning, but then also it sets up skills that are really important for the rest of the year. So I really hit planning hard during this unit, and I use your rubric for the 4-star plan. And so we really dive in and go slow as we're planning for STEAM survival. And I just have a quick story. So I was explaining to the kids, like, you need to have, these were fifth graders, you need to have 2 different views of your shelter and maybe a bird's eye view. So I just like threw that out there. And then a girl came up to me, she had finished her plan and she had drawn her shelter, but had a bird flying over it because she didn't understand what a bird's eye view was. And I was like, see, this is why it's so good that we're going slow so we can go fast. And so we stopped and explained, like, oh, a bird's eye view is when you're like, flying like a bird and you like look down, so that whole thing. But it was just really good to like know that, yeah, we got to slow down and do this at the beginning so we have success later in the year. And then the teamwork skills that come with
Yeah.
team survival are huge. And that's a great way to start off. And so we talk about how to work in a team. We talk about what to do if someone isn't helping on your team. I have like 3 steps that they go through. We talk about the difference between being a leader and being bossy. And so we go through that. So it just really sets up the collaboration skills. And then overall, the general just engineering skills, like how do you manage supplies? I only give out like 12 inches of tape. So how are you going to use it? Managing your time, like the kids that are making the game from the land, they get so into it and they just want to build these elaborate things. I'm like, you guys only have a day. Like we do one build day. I'm like, so you gotta like manage your time wisely. And then also like how to test and improve and all that. So all those things come with a STEAM survival and they just really set up my class for a year of success when we do it at the very beginning.
I love hearing that so much because I saw the same thing when I started doing it. I started teaching it, well, probably not too long before you because,
Mhm.
I created it in 2020. So we were going
Mhm.
back in the fall because, I was also watching a lot alone. I've camped a lot. I have a lot of experience
Yeah,
camping. I just don't do it a lot as a grown-up, but
yeah.
I can. I can do it. I have a stun trailer, so I can
Oh.
do it. I was the same way, but I created it because we actually couldn't share supplies, and,
Mm,
I was like, "Well, let's bring the kids out as much as possible," and so that's why I created I'm like, "I'm gonna do it for 1 year," and I had
mhm.
the same reaction as your kids, like, "We have to do it every year," and so that
Yeah.
they were, like, so excited, and,
Mhm,
I keep doing it, and I taught a few of them in my STEM camps now just for 1 day, so I really just hit hard on the creation, but I love how you
mhm.
focused in on the planning, but all the skills that come with it. I love that so much, like, hearing the progression, and since you've done it every year, like you
Yeah.
said, the kids are excited. Have you seen, like, their skills kinda just keep building off of each
Oh, yeah.
other a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Like, especially specifically with the planning,
Mhm.
like, my 5th graders, they're so good at it now. And then also the biggest thing I've seen is the improvement in the resiliency. Like, when I first started, they cried all the time. And being an intermediate teacher, I'm like, "We don't cry. Like, why are we crying?" You know? And so I've really worked to build those skills. And the STEAM survival is awesome because they're building with sticks and tape and it doesn't work. They don't stick, you know? And so they have to be resilient. They have to keep trying. We're going to dump water on it. We're going to blow it over. That's okay. And so we talk, it's more about the process, not your final product. But you can really see the skills are finally building after, like, in my 4th year. I'm like, yes, all that hard work that I've done for 3 years is really paying off. So it's
I'm
fun.
so glad you mentioned that. I had the same experience, like, kids like, "Ugh, why don't we get all the tape we want?" Like, they would cry all the time,
Yeah.
like, I'm
Hmm.
all because I mean, when you think about it and how important STEM is and STEAM,
Hmm.
and you're in your 4th year, but what the kids are typically doing, most kids from what I've seen, they're not doing this kind of stuff as often as they should be at home, and
Yeah.
so when you're building with and all the technology skills are important too, that's a whole other thing,
Right.
but,
Right.
um, like, the tangible, like, things you've never built with before, like, "I don't know how to do it." I'm like, "Well,
Hmm.
everything new is hard at first. How
Yeah.
would you know?" I tell kids, like,
Mhm.
"You wouldn't know. I made this up. Like, I made
Yeah.
this whole thing out of my brain, so you probably haven't done it before because it's made up."
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Right.
it makes sense you don't know what to
For
do.
sure. Yeah.
But I love hearing, like, where you're at
Mhm.
with Steam, that you're, like, seeing, like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
like, you're building upon that and, all
Yeah.
the skills are
Yeah.
growing. Have you seen any other successes with it? You said so many amazing things, like, any other cool successes with STEM
Yeah.
teaching?
So many, so many. But, one of them was that, there's a lot of students, even living in Colorado, that don't like to go outside. And, and they're not comfortable. They love to be on their screens. And so, the way I set it up is like Monday is building background knowledge, Tuesday is planning, Wednesday is going outside to get the materials, Thursday's building, and Friday is test and share. So on Wednesday, we go outside and collect materials. And so the way our school is set up is like we have a big property, but then just behind our property is like a walking trail and there's a big field. So that's where we go to get our materials. And I'm close enough. I have a walkie, so I can still get a hold of people. But so in the years past, I would have kids that just stayed on the sidewalk with me. They would not venture into the field. They were afraid of snakes. They were afraid of bugs. They were afraid of grasshoppers, afraid of ticks. I mean, I'm allergic, and
Right.
so, but every year, less and less kids have been staying back with me on the sidewalk. They have
Good.
been, yeah, being brave and going out there, and it's like it's feeling more comfortable to them. And so I just think that's a huge success because I mean we live in such a beautiful state. It's like get out and enjoy it. So, and I do have to say, and I had texted you, but we every year we see a snake, and we did see one this
It
year.
was big.
And, it's kinda like the class is like it was 3rd graders like, "We saw the snake," because it's, like, a big deal to see a snake, but we also talk about snake safety. I mean,
Yeah.
living in Colorado, I had a snake living in my front yard, so it's like it's part of, our world, and it's their habitat, and so we talk about snake safety, and so they will tell me, "Oh, I was hiking over the summer, and I saw a snake, and I did exactly what you told me to." So,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so that was
cool.
yeah, so that's a little fun thing, and then with that, just over the summer when they go camping, they tell me how they built the real life thing. So they're like, "Oh, I built a real life shelter that I could fit in. Me and my brother would hang out in there." Or even one kid was like, "I did a bear hang." Um, when we were up in the woods, and so it's just so cool to see it like
Yeah.
spark something, like translate. And then probably my most favorite one is comes from the sewing a backpack. And I have to say,
Mm.
I was like,
That one's my least popular, like, and I think teachers are scared about
yep.
sewing, and I'm so excited to hear what your experience
Uh,
is with
I
this.
was terrified. So I think I did it for 2 years and I didn't do that one. And then
Uh,
I was like, "Okay, I gotta do it." And so I chose a class size that at the time, one was small. I think there was, like, maybe 20 kids in that, grade level for each class.
mm,
And then, I all and they're pretty competent, so, like, I knew that they could handle it. Because every year or every grade, they're like, "Yeah, these guys are really within," or, "These guys need more support," so I knew that this class was the one to try it on. And so we did it, and I learned a lot, but I loved it so much. I was actually really surprised how much I loved it, and they turned out so great, and I have to tell you, the kids loved it, and
yes.
I had one, 5th grader, yeah, I think it was last year, she was kind of like it was hard for her to make friends, and she's kinda introverted, and she loved the sewing unit so much. She went and had her mom take her to, like, Hobby Lobby, and she was sewing all these things and bringing it back, and all the other girls were like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool," and so it was like a bridge for her to have friends through the sewing unit. So, yeah, and then,
Gosh.
I have, I'm obsessed with sloths, so I have a bunch of stuffed
Yeah,
sloths
you
with
are.
the
I
strings.
did notice that actually. I'm like,
Yeah.
I think she likes
Oh,
sloths.
yeah, I do, I love them, but, so the girls would go home and sew my sloth stuffies, like, different items and stuff because they love the sewing so much, so that is probably my most favorite one, and it came from the unit that I was most terrified to teach, so.
Yeah, and I was shocked too by the sewing because, like, it's based off of the show alone, so everything that
Mhm.
you do and alone's maybe not so much for kids, I always like, "For your parents' discretion," but everything in there and I'm like, the sewing, a lot of them use sewing in different ways, like, they might not
Mhm.
necessarily be sewing their backpack,
Right, right.
however, so many of them are sewing up a hole in their shirt, like, they're out in the wilderness, they can't fix
Yep.
it. Some of
Mhm.
them are sewing their shelter. It's actually a good skill.
It's a great skill for
It's
life.
simple,
Yeah. Yep.
basic mending, hand
Yep.
stitches. I had
Yep.
a lot of kids, I don't know if you had kids say this, but, with their Boy Scout or Girl Scout patches, they're like, "I can
Mhm.
sew my
Mhm.
patches now."
Oh, no one's
Um
ever told me that. That's a
yeah,
great idea.
I had
Yeah.
quite a few kids like, "I can sew my patches now." I'm like, "That's awesome." And I have videos in there too,
Mhm. Mhm.
like,
Oh, yeah.
so anyone who's like, "I don't know how to sew," it's literally like 2, 3 basic stitches.
The videos were, like, essential because I am not a sewer, and
Mm-mm.
that's kinda what intimidated me, but I learned with the kids, and so we
Yeah.
would play it, and we would just, like, practice it, and then once they got it, they got it.
Yeah.
And now I'm, like, almost a pro.
Yeah, you're like, I
Gotta
know all these stitches." I'm also not a sewer. I did work at Build-A-Bear in college.
Oh,
And the bears already have the string
oh, the
on there,
stitches.
and you have to pull the strings and then you tie a knot, but when you pull them, sometimes the string would come out, so I actually learned a different stitch that's
Mm,
not in those videos,
that's
but,
funny.
yeah, it is an interesting one, and I think some teachers avoid it, but it's actually not that bad. That one takes the longest, but it's
It does, yeah.
also really fun and,
It's
like you
so
said, a
fun.
life skill.
Yeah, and they're just so proud of it, like,
Mhm.
they, would carry it around with them and just and they were just so proud, so it was such a
Yeah,
fun.
and you don't need sewing machines, that's what I like too, because I always wanted
Yeah.
them in my class, but I never had them, and so hand
Yeah.
stitching it is.
It's perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything else about the lessons or any tips or tricks, or if a teacher was on
Mm.
the fence with this, because I know there are 6 lessons, and I like how you
Mhm.
even said, I tried with kinder, it just wasn't the right time for them. So even
Mhm.
if someone started it in mid-year, they might be
Yeah.
ready. I saw that too
Right.
with some kinders too.
Yeah.
I would maybe
Mhm.
do one day with kinder and then
Mhm.
we're doing on
Yeah.
some other stuff. But
Right, right.
but any like if teachers like, I'm not a camper. I don't know.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
what would you say to them?
Well, first to start with some tips and tricks, if you can, I just really encourage you to go outside. It is such a fun, engaging thing for the kids, and it's really a good behavior incentive
Oh,
because it's the beginning of the year, right? And
yeah.
so we're doing the plans and everything, and I'm like, "You must have your plan done, and it must be a four-star plan, and you must follow all my other rules if you wanna go outside." And so being that it's midweek on Wednesday,
Yeah.
I mean, I've never had to, stick anyone in the office while we go outside. So just going outside and just being, with nature and we've seen so many besides the snakes, we've seen some really cool, like praying mantises. It's just fun. Kids
Yeah.
love to be outside. So that is one I would highly recommend. Obviously, it's all dependent on the weather, but that's why I do it at the beginning of the year because it's nice. And then bringing all that nature back in gets very,
Yes.
very messy.
Yes.
I'm sure you noticed that when you came. You're like,
Mhm.
oh my
I stopped giving them bags. I'm like, because 'cause they're just putting scoops of dirt. I'm like,
god, no.
No, you gotta carry it with your
Well,
hands."
that's what and I said, "Don't put it in your pockets,
Yep,
you don't make baskets out of your shirt, it's like
yep,
you only your 2
your
hands."
hands.
And so I got, tidy tubs, so they're like little trash cans that I put on
Uh,
each of the different table groups,
yeah.
and so I had to explicitly teach them, "Sweep your nature crumbs into the tidy tub," and then they would leave it, so I'm like, "Carry your tidy tub to the trash
Yeah.
can," but that's really helped, with the mess because I tell them, I'm like, "You guys, it looks like nature threw up in our room, like, we gotta clean it up." I'm sure the cleaning crew, like, hates my classroom, but
Yeah.
so it is very messy, but it is worth it. And then just a couple of the actual units. The fishing pole one, that one I really had to learn by trial and error. So my first year I did it with first graders. We went and got our sticks and I gave them the tape and I said, okay, just make your fishing pole. And they did
Yes.
not have the skills. And so one thing could not tie the string to the paper clip. And then like they were trying to tape it, but their spatial skills weren't quite there. So instead of going into like taping a long pole, they were doing it like doubled. And so it wasn't very long. So I have learned that we have to go step by step with that. So we get our supplies, and then on Thursday, under the document camera, um, I explain and model everything. And so I start by their tape. I give them about 8 inches, and I just hang it from their tables. And so each kid has their own tape, and then they each have their own scissors. And so I always start with, okay, first you need to measure the tape. The tape should be about as long as your finger, and then you cut it from the bottom because they would try to cut it from the top. Cut it from the bottom, and then you lay it sticky side up. And then I create the image like, oh, we're going to put two siblings, we're going to tuck them into bed. So one head goes here, the other head goes there, their feet are sticking out. And then we tuck them in with the tape. And so, but you have like, I had to be so explicit step by step. And then there are some kids who just catch on and I'm like, okay, go. But most of the kids stay with me and we connect 3 sticks. So it's doing that twice. And then I say, if you can tie your hook on. But otherwise, we tape it. We tape everything. Sometimes I have to go around and just like reinforce the tape. But the fact that they were able to do it by themselves, they're so proud. I mean, it might be like droopy, but they did it. So I'll go around and just kind of reinforce with duct tape or stronger tape. But so that
Yeah,
is like
it's
a
a good
tip for the fishing pole in
skill.
first grade. Just
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
and then now they know how to measure tape, that they how to use tape. Like it's a huge skill. But again, it sets us up for the rest of the year. So, and we're doing bioluminescent animals now, which is one of the units. But they are like they got the tape down. Like go slow to go fast. So for crossing the river, I originally say you don't get any new supplies. Like you just get what you get in your basket. That's all the tape you get. Use it wisely. But then when they're testing, I bring in a bucket of water, and when they test, everything gets wet. And so at the end of our first build day, so that's Thursday, I say, "Okay, I'll give you new tape tomorrow because everything's wet."
Yeah.
And so then on Friday, they get, like, I don't know, 15 minutes to finish building and get ready to show, and then they can have new tape, because it was just a soggy mess, but they have to
Yeah.
test, like,
Yes,
it's
I know. I did the same thing, but it's, like,
yeah.
good how you say it later so they're
Yeah,
not, like,
yeah.
counting on it.
I know. Yeah, yeah.
You're like, "Okay, now I'll give you some.
Right.
Now you can."
Yeah. And then the other one was just the sewing, like, just don't be afraid of it, and then, I tried, like, getting the, kid safe needles, did not work, so we use
I I agree. I
yeah,
had the
yeah.
same experience. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
guess
we use real
you're one
needles.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, if they can handle a hot glue gun and they know how to be safe, it's just another tool.
Yeah.
So, I just go over how to be safe with it and, that we haven't had any issues. And then the thicker thread is important because it just kids will just, like, pull it through.
Yes.
Um, so
Yeah.
that is helpful, and then, I also got fabric squares that are already cut because I was just getting huge
Mm.
sheets and then
Mhm.
having to cut it for all 3 classes, and it took me forever, so I just get the fabric squares off
Yeah.
Amazon. But then also, like, the kids love to bring in their own fabric, which I was really surprised about, but they want a certain pattern, so they will take their parents to, like, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, and get their own fabric. So, I've only had to buy out of the 4 years one like group of fabric squares off Amazon. Everything else has been through donation. So,
Oh,
yeah.
cool. That's
Oh,
cool.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. And
Wow.
and then, if a teacher is on the fence, it's just one of those units where the kids just light up and they're just so excited and engaged because it feels real and it feels a little adventurous. I mean, think of the adventure they get in their life at school every day. It's pretty boring, but this is exciting and adventurous. And it's just so fun to get to see them problem solve and think critically and collaborate with each other. And then it really brings out strengths in kids that you might not normally see in like doing traditional STEAM challenges or just the traditional classroom.
Yeah.
Um, I had a quiet kid. He was a fifth grader, and he just kind of was in the back of everything, just went along. But then for STEAM survival, he had so much background knowledge, and he stepped up, and I was just blown away. And I told him, I'm like, it is so cool to see this side of you. He's like, I love it. I just love it. And like we go
Oh, that's
camping on.
cool.
I know, but like I wouldn't have seen it if I didn't do STEAM
Yeah.
survival. So it's hands-on, it's messy, it's super creative, but it's the kind of learning that they're going to be talking about for years to come, and like I've had
Yeah.
parents come and say, "Oh, I was showing like a bear got into, or my grandma's house, and so I was showing my kid the video of the ring, but it's because it's real life in
Yeah.
Colorado, but
Yeah.
but they're talking about it at home with their parents, they remember it, and it's just as fun for me as it is for them. So I
Aw.
encourage everyone to give it a shot.
I love it. That's, like, so crazy. Like I said, like, I know I had fun teaching it, and I've taught
Yeah.
it even again recently outside with my
Mhm.
trailer for 2
Mhm.
hours, and we were in nature. We actually tested the fishing poles
Oh,
in a
like in a
pond.
oh my gosh, so cool.
Yes, I've never done that. Like, we have paper ones, that
Oh,
I
oh,
do, but we did it in a pond, and a kid caught a fishing
stop. Oh my gosh.
a real fishing pole in the pond with his created one.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
Not a fish, a fishing pole.
a fishing pole, but it is so crazy, like, I know how fun it is, but, like,
Mhm.
I love how it's like a tradition in your
Yeah,
program, which is
for sure.
so cool, like, it's, like, making me tear up because it's, like, so,
Oh.
like, cool hearing that, like, how excited
Mhm.
you are teaching and you
Yeah.
like, have fun with it and things you probably add every year or
Mhm.
kids are like, "Oh, my sibling did this one, and I
Right,
can't
right.
wait to do it." So that is it's,
Yeah.
like, so cool to hear
Yeah, it's
your
so
whole
fun.
experience and, like
Yeah, like, when we have twins in the opposite classes, they're like, "I know what we're"
Ah.
they're just so they're like, "I know what we're doing,"
Yeah.
They just come in and they're ready to go. It's just so fun, so
Oh, I love this. It's, like, one of my favorites to teach slash I'm, like, the most proud of, but I'm so
oh,
glad
so
it's,
good.
like, successful for you. It's,
Yeah,
like, I love it so much, but,
it's so fun. Yeah.
I'm sure other teachers love hearing about it, and they probably have other questions. Like there's other like good like nuggets that you said. But if teachers wanted to reach out to you, what would be the best place for them to find you? And we'll put it in the show
Um,
notes.
Yeah, so I have a classroom Instagram, and so you can actually I just posted a bunch of pictures because we just wrapped up that unit. So I have a bunch of pictures of the kids fishing and all that stuff. So they can check it out on Instagram. It's kind of a long one, but it's RSE Mile High Steam. Is my Instagram, and you can just message me on there. It's probably the easiest way. But I'm happy to answer any questions because, like you, I'm just so passionate about it, and it gives me so much joy to talk about and to teach it. So, and
Yeah.
I teach a bunch of your units, and I line up the kids outside, and I'm like, you guys, this is one of my favorite units, and they're like, you always say that, but it's like
I mean, I
true.
can
Like,
assume too.
like I just love teaching so many of your units. It's just so fun and engaging. So, and it hits the standards, which is
Yeah,
important.
I try. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the classroom teacher in us, like, that's still
Yeah.
important, and if you were to
Absolutely.
be let's say you had to be in the classroom for some reason, you could still teach them because their standards
Exactly.
align, so
Yeah, yeah.
it all
Well, and
works.
I think, in Colorado, they're tested on science standards in 5th
Mhm.
grade, and our classroom teachers are amazing.
Yes.
But in the last 4 years, our science scores have gone up, and I mean, you can't really attribute it to one
Mm,
thing or another, but I like to believe that,
yeah.
the STEAM program is helping with that because it's just a hands-on
Mhm.
way that they learn and they remember, you know?
Yeah.
So
Mm,
so I like to think that I have
yeah.
a little bit to do
Yeah.
with that.
I think so. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Yay, this was such a joyful this was such a fun conversation. It was, like, so,
So fun.
so fun to hear you talk about all of this and how it, like, went with your kids, and I'm so excited, like, I'm teachers hearing this, and if they need a little refresh, like, just
Mhm.
another thing you can, do that's fun and pretty low prep in materials, and you don't need
Yeah.
a whole lot to get started, but
Yeah, for sure.
everything, like I said, will be linked below. And thank you so much again for your time. You're such a
Of
great
course.
guest.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I will chat with you soon and I'll see you next
Okay.
Wednesday.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Elementary STEM Coach Podcast. I would love to connect with you over on Instagram at Naomi Meredith _ or send me an email to elementarySTEMcoachpodcast@gmail.com. Also, make sure to check out my website, naomimeredith.com, to see all the show notes from today's episode and shop my K-5 STEM resources. Any questions you have, needs for resources, or ideas for episodes, get in touch. I'll talk to you soon.